Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from YellowCat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. My boss is a tuck your shirt in N among other things, so I found a loophole in the dress code where I don't have to tuck in my shirt. What things have you done by the book just to pee off your boss? Little background story. My boss is a huge D. All he does all day long is walk around and make sure everyone has their shirt tucked in, and generally be a negative P who everyone hates. So I come into work on my birthday the other day, and my friend runs up to me and yells, "Cousin 420, happy B-Day!" right in front of my boss's office. He looks up and says, "Cousin 420. I'm thinking he's going to say happy B-Day since he no doubt heard her. Instead, he said, "Yeah, go ahead and tuck your shirt in, okay?" And he does the hand signal like he's tucking in an imaginary shirt. So I say, "Okay, no prob. I just have to put down my stuff real quick and I'll take care of it." So I walk over to my desk, which takes approximately 7 seconds to get to. I go to put my stuff down, and as I am, he comes up behind me and says, "Cousin, I said to tuck in your shirt." So I quickly tuck it in, and as he's walking literally right by me, I say, "Sorry, I just had to put my stuff down first." And he walks by like I never said a word. Immediately, I bust out my HR manual and check out the rule on tucked in shirts. Turns out, you must tuck in all shirts except a Hawaiian shirt or a Guayabera shirt. So I take my A to Walmart and buy 10 of those effers and wear the most obnoxious Hawaiian-looking shirt the next day. The second I walked in, he looked me up and down, glared, turned around, and walked away. When everyone asked why I was wearing such a ridiculous shirt, I told them about the loophole, and now half my office is wearing Hawaiian shirts and it's driving my boss crazy. All within the guidelines outlined by company policy. For the record, I work in a call center, so no customers actually see us. Also, this was more of the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back in this situation. This guy has been steadily cutting our pay since he got the job, and everyone hates him more for that than anything. We used to have no dress code whatsoever, so this is just my way of getting things back the way they used to be. At a former workplace, the dress code was changed. Men were no longer allowed to wear shorts. Women could wear skirts. I started wearing a kilt because skirts were okay in the rulebook. When I was in grade 4, pizza was sold at lunch for $1.50 a slice. I saw a business opportunity and went to the Little Caesars a stone's throw away from the school and bought 10 hot and ready $5 pizzas and sold the slices for $1, $1.25 on Friday. When the school told me I couldn't sell pizza on school property, I moved my office to my aunt's house, which was next door. So every day at lunch, the kids would walk to the neighbor's front yard, buy pizza, and come back to school. I was making a tidy sum every day. When I was working at an Office Max about 10 years ago, I was the only employee who didn't smoke. Needless to say, everyone in the building took a 15-minute smoke break 2 to 3 times a shift, and I got squat. One day, I asked the manager if I could have a clean air break, and he was confused. I explained that since smokers can have their 15-minute break 2 to 3 times a shift, I should be able to step outside and do the same without having to smoke. Irked my manager, but he knew he had to let me to avoid any discrimination. While I was in the Navy, it was recommended that I get an extensive surgery on my ankle. My command felt that I didn't deserve a bunch of time off for a surgery, so they said they would approve it, but none of the convalescent leave. They refused to sign any paperwork. First thing I did was hit them with a regulation stating that they were required to respond to all requests within a certain amount of time, 3 days I think. They responded with a no. So then I had Navy Legal draw up paperwork with accordance to regulations that my command would be responsible for 100% of my medical care if they did not abide by doctor's orders. I then let them know that would mean that all of my medical care would then be handled by civilians and the command would be responsible for paying the bill out of their budget. They approved my surgery, convalescent leave, and convalescent leave extension. On the flip side, I'm the boss enforcing policy. When I took over the department, the old boss told me that the reason the place looked like crap was because when he asked a sales associate, base pay plus commission, to clean or put up stock, they claimed it wasn't in their job description. The main boss backed them up, calling it a technicality. I pulled out the description and read out other duties as assigned by the manager. On the last line, 2 out of 9 quit. My department is now clean and stock is always up. Sales are constantly up. I'm cool with that. When I worked at Best Buy, the dress code was black shoes, pants, belt, tucked in blue shirt. Never wore a belt nor tucked my shirt in because, as a chubster, when kneeling and organizing DVDs on the bottom shelf, shirt comes untucked and the belt cuts into my belly. First world problems, huh? Anyways, my boss would constantly freak on me for not having my shirt tucked in and finally got on my case for not wearing a belt either. So I checked the dress code, found it said belt if there are belt loops on the pants or something, so I found an X-Acto knife and cut off my belt loops. The next morning, I come in and she says, "Where's your belt?" I grinned at her and said, "Where's my belt loops?" and gave her the biggest ass-eating grin I could muster. One of my finest moments. I used to work for this small town twice weekly newspaper. The editor/publisher, mayor, county commissioner, and a few other people were skimming tax dollars. When I confronted my boss about it, he told me he'd blackball me if I said anything. So I went to the local television station, tipped them off, and they uncovered the story. When they won their awards, my name was added to the list of reporters. I still can't get a job as a journalist, but D if it didn't feel good. Worked in one corporate kitchen where our GM didn't like our music, so he would put on children's music. So we all started singing along at the top of our lungs. We won that war of attrition. Years later, in another kitchen, we had surround sound in a closed kitchen where the uppity GM did not like our music and started passing draconian censorship rules about the music. So we switched it to children's music for a week. Moral of the story, never underestimate the power of a kitchen crew of misfits singing Bananaphone at the top of their lungs to fight fascism, mother effer. Viva la Raffi! Viva la Raffi! I used to work at the Jaws ride at Universal Studios, Florida. Our uniform consisted of a blue t-shirt, jeans or jean shorts, white socks, and white shoes. The unofficial dress code had all of us girls wearing jean shorts and white knee socks. One summer, I ended up working at the Jaws ride and the Jungle Cruise at Walt Disney World simultaneously. I love Disney and had always wanted to work there, but I ended up finding it stifling with all sorts of silly and over-the-top rules. At the Jungle Cruise, you wear a khaki shirt, khaki shorts or pants, white socks, and brown shoes. One day, I didn't have any normal-sized socks to wear to the Jungle Cruise, so I ended up wearing my white knee-highs, which looked ridiculous with the jungle costume. When I got to work, one of my managers flipped his S, told me my socks weren't in compliance with the Disney look, the official policies on how to dress at Disney, and made me roll my socks down. It looked like I was wearing little white life preservers around my ankles and looked more out of place than they looked originally. I was annoyed, so when I got home, I scoured my Disney look booklet for the policies pertaining to socks. All I could find was that socks had to be long enough to cover the ankle bone. There was no maximum height. I could have worn white tights under my khaki shorts if I really wanted to. The next day, I wore my knee-highs again as a small act of rebellion. The same manager was there and he flipped out. He actually pulled me into the office to write me up, but before he could get me to sign the paperwork, I pulled out my copy of the Disney look and showed him that, while incredibly silly looking, my socks were perfectly acceptable and that I would continue wearing them like that. And so I did. I looked stupid, but I didn't care. Working for Disney wasn't a pleasant experience in my opinion, and it was very liberating to know I could at least wear my socks however the H I wanted to. My brother-in-law worked for UPS for 17 years. He was a bit of a joker and was constantly getting into trouble for coming to work with crazy hair colors or cornrows. He was a big Italian guy and was told it wasn't appropriate. It was always something, but they couldn't say anything about him wearing sunglasses. So his little rebellion was he would wear the most outrageous sunglasses he could think of. One shaped like giant red lips, guitars with a stem sticking up, purple ones with rhinestone hearts on them, anything for a laugh. After a while, people knew him by his glasses. If someone said they lived in a certain area, I would say, "Oh, my brother-in-law's your UPS man, the guy with the crazy glasses." And their reply would almost always be something like, "Oh, John! I love that guy, he's hilarious." He passed away 4 years ago. He was hit by a drunk driver while he was out walking one night. When we attended his funeral, all of the guys from work came dressed in their browns with crazy sunglasses on. His best friend gave his eulogy wearing a pair of neon green glasses 3 times the size of his face, and the pastor even borrowed John's guitar glasses when he went up to speak. After the funeral, we counted. He had over 200 different pairs. What started as him being a pain in the A to his boss ended as a tribute to his character in life of always wanting to make someone else smile. Used to work at a TV station. Absolutely awful management and horrible bosses. Complained about it to friends all the time. Some would even ask me on Facebook about my job and I would reply, but I knew I could get fired for speaking ill of the company. So I read the HR handbook and found out as long as I don't specifically name the company, I can't be fired for it. So about a month later, I realized I can't take this ass anymore and post on Facebook how terrible my job is, never mentioning the company by name. They fire me a day later. I gladly walk out of that building and into a lawyer's office. Got $17,800, my yearly salary. Seriously. Feels good, man. Back when I was working and attending classes, I would go straight from campus to work, getting me there anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes early before my shift. On occasion, my boss would ask me to help him out with something before I clock in, putting something away or answering the phone. Over the span of a couple months, this evolved from occasionally to every day your shift starts when you get here. After doing this for a couple weeks, still clocking in at my usual 3 p.m., I decide that if I'm working for a few extra minutes a day, I'm gonna get paid for it. I did this once, and I didn't make it an hour into my shift before my boss is screaming at me and throwing down the employee handbook saying that I'm only allowed to clock in 5 minutes before and after my scheduled shift. Needless to say, I made it a point to not check in until 5 minutes after my scheduled shift every day, no matter how early I was. Fast forward 3 months, and my boss gets fired. He got what was coming to him. Thank you for watching. Guys, thank you for all of the support and likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. See you next time.